Hi, this is Rachel Goklowski from Cooking with Mrs. G, and today we're going to talk about some useful tips and tricks to locate and properly identify the hen of the woods, or Grifola frondosa mushroom. This is a butt rot mushroom, so as you can see, you're going to find it at the base of oak trees, mostly oak trees. And you're not going to find them directly on the wood like you would those orange chicken mushrooms, because Grifola frondosa has a completely different job to do. All mushrooms have a job, and you really need to know what their job is so that you can properly identify them and locate them. So the hen of the woods mushroom's job is to break down the roots of the tree. So it's got to grow on the ground and fruit from the roots. It's slightly parasitic, so it's actually sapping some energy from this tree, but it's also exchanging some nutrients with the tree. So it's partly symbiotic and acts as sort of in a mycorrhizal form, and it also is slightly parasitic. So now that we know where to locate them, let's go over a couple of tips and tricks to help you tell the difference between a chicken of the woods mushroom and lookalikes like the Black Staining Polypore and the Berkeley's Polypore. So these are, I would say this is in mid-maturity stage right now. When they first emerge, they're a much darker tan or a brown, and if you feel the surface of them, especially when they're younger, the surface of the fronds, these are fronds, tends to be a little bit fuzzy. It almost seems like it has a little bit of fur. But as it matures and it gets to this stage, it's not really that fuzzy anymore. So it's kind of hard to tell the difference between this and the Black Staining Polypore once it gets to this stage, because it even tends to yellow a little bit. So it's like more of a yellowish tan, sort of like the Black Staining Polypore. Let's take a look at the fronds. Now we have a white pore surface, and if you'll notice, the pores are very small. And more importantly, the pores tend to go all the way down to the front, the base of the frond. Sometimes the pores don't make it to the base of the frond, but they make it pretty far down to the base of the frond. That's one way to tell the difference. Another one is the Black Staining Polypore. Usually within about 5 minutes would turn black here where I broke it off. The frond would start to turn black. If you bruise it or break it or cut it, the Black Staining Polypore will start turning black. Sometimes it takes much more than 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes 30 minutes to an hour. But if you're not sure, you can always take a frond home and see if it turns black on you, or harvest it and see if it turns black or not. But in any case, this is a hen of the woods in mid-maturity. If it gets much more mature than this, the fronds can be up to 5 inches in diameter, but they don't get any bigger than 5 inches across. So if you find what you think is a hen and the fronds are more than 5 inches across, it's not a hen of the woods. Chances are it's a Berkeley's Polypore or a Black Staining Polypore. So just some really helpful ways to tell the difference between a Grifola frondosa and other types of lookalike polypores. When you take this home, what I like to do to clean it is to separate the fronds out and take the kitchen sprayer and spray each of these fronds liberally with the kitchen sprayer individually, and then you can let them drain and prepare it in any way you like. The younger, more tender hens are great sauteed. You can have a hen of the woods taco if you want, and have it instead of the meat in a taco. There's endless ways. It's a very delicious mushroom. It also has some medicinal properties that are better extracted as a medicine. So if you want the medicinal properties, you can dry this out and make it into a tea or a tincture. But if you eat it, you're not really going to get any medicinal qualities. You're going to get a lot of nutrition, though. It's a very nutritious mushroom. and it's also very delicious. So hen of the wood mushroom. This is Rachel Goklowski from Cooking with Mrs. G. You can find me on Facebook, Cooking with Mrs. G, and on Etsy. I have my medicinal mushroom tinctures that I wildcraft on Etsy, and it's Cooking with Mrs. G. That's my shop on Etsy. So happy foraging.